Going on. This is the second video for this week 4 of online learning. Next week is spring break, which I'm sure you're looking forward to. As far as not getting any assignments goes, as far as getting out of the house, I don't know. Same with me, right? So last video, we did the substitution method for solving systems of linear equations. Now we're going to do the elimination method. Kind of. We're not really going to do a lot of elimination method in its entirety. I'm going to focus in on a specific part of the elimination method, which is the aspect of adding the equations together and subtracting the equations together. This was something that I didn't really talk a lot about in class. In class, when we were doing this, we focused mostly on the solving portion. And I think that, now looking back, I think that the adding and the subtracting, we should have had a little bit more time on that. So I'm going to take the opportunity now to focus in on those pieces. And the Khan Academy assignment is just like that as well. So as opposed to solving all the way through, the Khan Academy assignment is only asking you to either add equations together or subtract equations from each other. So that's what we're going to be doing here. So in this video, let's take a look. Elimination method for solving systems of equations. First, I'm going to look at what the assignment is. I'll take a look at the Khan Academy, and we're going to do 3 example problems. 2 of them are about adding and subtracting the equations, and then 1 of them I will actually solve all the way through so that we can get that, take a look at how that is. Okay, so first thing, let's look at the assignment. All right, so everybody should be good to go, signed into Khan Academy by now. Let's take a look at the assignment. So if you click on the assignment page, you'll see all of your assignments. These 2 are the ones that I assigned on Monday, the substitution ones here. So hopefully you have those finished. And then these 2 are the ones I assigned today, subtracting equations and combining equations. And just like last time, I'm going to focus in on these little symbols. See how that's a little triangle? That's a play button. So this is a video. So I'm just going to have you watch a video. Sal Khan, the creator of Khan Academy, made a pretty good video about why and how you subtract equations. I think that he did a good job explaining, so please watch that. And it's only 8 minutes, so it's not that bad. And then I'm going to have you do this. And the little star right here, that little star tells you that this is the actual assignment exercise, combining equations. So I'm going to go ahead and start this. I'm not going to do any for you. It's 4 questions, should not take very long. And as always, you can retry them as many times as you want to get a higher score. Once you finish it, it's going to say try again next to it. And if you don't get the score you want, I encourage you to click try again and just work it out again until you get a score that you like. You can get full points on this if you get a 75% or more. Just like on all the Khan Academy assignments, try to get 75% or better, and that's how you're going to get full points. Okay, so that's the look at the assignment. Let's go ahead and jump into our 3 example problems. So let's start off here. Add the 2 equations. Okay, so here's our 2 equations. Y equals 2x, y equals x plus 5. And they want us to add them. Okay, so that shouldn't be too bad. We're just going to, let me get the right settings here. We're just going to add them up. Okay, pretty straightforward. We're going to look at each portion and we're going to add them together, being careful to only add like terms. Okay, so let's do it. What's y plus y? Y plus y. Okay, so you have a y and you've got another y, and you add them together, you get 2y. Okay, so hopefully everybody's following along so far. The equal sign, so the y is added together, and now I've got my equal sign. And now let's look here. 2x and x. In fact, I'm going to take a quick second right here to give myself some space so that I can show you guys with some more detail here. There we go. It's important that you stay organized here, so I'm going to space these out so that I can make a point about the organization. And notice that my equal signs are going to be in line. I've got my y's here on the left side. And now let's take a look at the x's. If I have 2x and another x, and I add those up, well, 2x plus 1 more x, that's going to give me 3x. All right. And then plus 5. There's nothing here. Well, there is something. It's an invisible plus 0. So what's 0 plus 5? Okay, well, 0 plus 5 is 5. Positive 5, right? So I'm going to make it positive 5. 2y equals 3x plus 5. What did I just do? I added the two equations. That does not look very good. In fact, I can use highlighter. I added the two equations. I took the y's and I added them together. I took the x's and I added them together. And I took our constant terms. The constants are the ones without variables. I took my constant terms and I added them together also. And there we go. So I did it. I added the two equations. Let's go over here. Let's try to subtract the two equations. So these are the same two equations as before. And I'm also going to add some space here so that I can look more carefully. Okay, let's take a look. I'm going to subtract now. So I'm not adding like I was here. I'm going to put a minus sign in the front. And I'm going to put parentheses around this because I want to make sure that I remember that I'm subtracting everything. I'm not just subtracting y. I'm subtracting everything. Okay, let's do that step by step. Y minus y. What is y minus y? Well, if I have y and I subtract y from it, I don't have anything. So nothing. But I can't write nothing. I have to write some number. So I'm going to write 0, and that represents that I have nothing left. Now to the x's. 2x, x, and I'm going to subtract. So 2x minus 1x, and just remember there's an invisible 1 right here. Oh, there's an invisible 1. Whenever you see a variable without a number in the front, it's a 1. Okay, so 2x minus 1x is just 1x, right? You had 2 and you took 1 away, so you've got 1 left. And again, I'm going to put this invisible plus 0 back. What's 0 minus 5? 0 minus 5. That is negative 5. All right. So I have subtracted the two equations. I took each piece, each variable, and I subtracted. So the y is subtracted, the x is subtracted, and our constants subtracted. And there we go. We did what they asked. Now, one thing to note, do you see that the final result here still has two variables, an x and a y? But do you see how the final result here has only one variable? The y's are gone. Interesting. Okay, let's go ahead to the next example. That was example 1. I know that was 2, but that actually counts as one example. Here's example 2. Add the two equations. All right, same instructions as before. So let's go ahead and do it. Put my plus sign, add these up. 2x plus another x. So 2x, one more x, add them together. I'm going to get 3x. In other words, I have 3 x's now. And now to the y's. 3y plus negative 4y. 3 plus negative 4. What's 3 plus negative 4? In class, I had you guys use calculators, so feel free to use your calculators on this assignment if you need to, but I think 3 plus negative 4 should be okay for you. It's negative 1. So 3, take away 4, that gives you a negative y. So 3x minus y equals, don't forget over here, 3 plus 7. 3 plus 7 is 10. Great, we did it. We added the two equations. And again, I want to point out that I still have an x and a y. They're both still here. Okay. And now over here, let's subtract the two equations. So, minus sign. And I'm going to put parentheses so that I remember that I'm subtracting the whole thing. I'm not just subtracting one. In fact, I didn't put parentheses here, but you totally could. That reminds you that you're adding everything. And here, you're subtracting everything. So let's go ahead and do it. 4x minus 4x. So 4x's, and then we're going to take away 4x's. What's left over? Nothing. We have 0 x's left. So I'm going to put 0x for right now. And then later we'll talk about how that could be rewritten. And to the next y's, y minus negative 2y. Y minus negative 2. Okay, there's an invisible 1 here. So the question is, what is 1 minus negative 2? 1 minus negative 2 is positive 3. If you're not sure about how those numbers work, take a look at a number line or use your calculator, or if you really want, I can make a video about how to add and subtract negative numbers. But for right now, I'm going to focus on the adding and subtracting equations. And now, we did x's, we did y's, now for the constants. What's 5 minus 4? 5 minus 4. Okay, hopefully that's the easiest one. That's 1. Great, we did it. Now you're done here, except I want to point out one thing. 0x, since I have no x's, I can actually just rewrite this without that information. I can just write 3y equals 1. In other words, I'm saying that the equation exists without any x values anymore. They're gone. There is no x anymore. It's just 3y equals 1. 3y equals 1. All right. So here we still had both variables. Here the x's are gone and we just have one variable left, which is y. All right. So hopefully this makes sense. I'm going to do one more example, but the Khan Academy assignment is mostly like this page right here. If you could understand these little two right here, the adding and subtracting that I just did, then you should be absolutely fine for the Khan Academy assignment. Try to get at least 75. I bet you can get 100% though. Okay, last example. This one I'm actually going to solve all the way using the elimination method. And I'm going to use the techniques that we just did, but now I'm going to go further to continue to solve. So it does not say add or subtract. So we have to actually decide what we're going to do. Should we add them or should we subtract them? Well, let's think about this. Let's go all the way back to this first example. Do you remember that in one case, remember these are the same examples, in one case, when I added them, I still had two variables. Y and x were still both there. But in the other case, when I subtracted them, the y's were gone and I had only x left. So that means that one of these eliminates a variable and the other one doesn't. And we kind of saw that here also. Still have both variables, but this one, the x's are gone and we're left with just y. So let's see if we can use that to our advantage here. Can I either add or subtract these so that one of the variables goes away? In other words, it gets eliminated. There's a typo here. Let's see if I can fix that real quick. Elimination. There we go. All right. So what should we do? Should we add or subtract? So I'm looking at the x's. There's a 1 here and there's a 3 here. If I add 1 and 3, do they cancel? No, that gives me 4. If I subtract 1 and 3, do that cancel? No, that's not going to cancel either. So the x's don't help. Let's look at the y's. If I add 3 and negative 3, do they cancel? Yeah, they do. So adding is probably the good idea. But just to double check, what if we subtract? What if we do 3 minus negative 3? 3 minus negative 3 is 6. So that doesn't work. So we're confident that adding the equations is the best way to go. So let's go ahead and do it. Just like the last examples, let's add these equations. 1x plus 3x. 1x plus 3x is 4x. Great. Now to the y's. 3y plus negative 3y. 3 plus negative 3 is 0. So this is going to leave us with no y's, 0 y's. And equals, okay, so we did x, we did y, and now we're going to do our constants. What is 5 plus 3? 5 plus 3 is 8. We'll go ahead and write an 8 there. There we're good. We're good. And just like in the last example, this 0y, if I don't have any y's, if there's no information about y's, then I know that I can rewrite this equation with just the 4x and the 8 because the y's are gone. So I know that 4x equals 8. 4x equals 8, which is actually really good news because now I know that x is 2. How did I get x is 2? Well, I just divided 4 on both sides. Since it's 4 times x, 4 times x, I'm going to do the opposite of times, which is division, and I'm going to divide 4 on both sides so that this cancels and this becomes 2. So now I know that x is 2. Great. Are we done? No, almost, but we now know what x is, which is great. We're very close to being done. So if x is 2, the question is, what is y now? Okay, so remember, I'm going to kind of zoom in to the answer. We know that the final answer should be a coordinate, and I know that x is 2. What's the y value? What's the y value? Well, how do we find out? Well, it's not too bad. Let's take one of these equations. Doesn't matter which. I'm going to take the first one. And I know that x, I'm just going to rewrite it first. I know that x plus 3y equals 5. And I know that x is 2. So if I know that x is 2, I can say, well, this x, I don't want to write x anymore. I'm going to actually write what x is. That sounds a lot like substitution. Yes, I am doing exactly what we did in the substitution video earlier this week, which is to substitute what I know that x is 2. So I'm going to substitute x for what x is, which is 2. All right, looking good. Now, I need to get y by itself. How do I do that? Well, I'm just going to start pulling pieces to the other side. So I'm going to get rid of that 2 by subtracting it on both sides. And that's going to cancel this away. Notice 2 minus 2 is 0. That's very similar to what we did here. 3 minus 3 is 0. So this is pretty much the same logic. It maybe looks a little different, but it's the same logic that we're doing here as well. Okay, so the 2's canceled, and so that's going to leave me with 3y equals, and what's 5 minus 2? 5 minus 2 is 3, so I know 3y is 3, which means that y equals 1. How did I do that? Well, same as this step. I just divided by 3 because I see 3y. 3y means 3 times y. So I'm going to do the opposite of multiplication, which is division, so that the 3's cancel, and I'm left with y equals 1. Good. So I know my y value is 1 now. So there's my answer. The coordinate 2, 1, in other words, x is 2, y is 1, is my final solution for this system of equations. And there you go. That's that. Okay, so that's going to be it for this video. But go ahead and do the Khan Academy assignment before Friday. It's due on Friday. Rewatch this video as many times as you like. And if you do have questions, you can message me on Remind. You can comment on the Google Classroom page. You can comment here on this video. However you want to reach out to me is fine. Email. I'm going to be available for questions as often as you need. All right, so good luck with that. And if I don't see you before, happy spring break.